Hi, I'm Jeff Goulding and I'm a Liverpool author.
And I'm Kieran Smith, the Liverpool historian.
Together, we've been working on a great new project, which is a book out later this year entitled The Untouchables, Anfield's Band of Brothers.
It's a great story about one of the greatest sides in Liverpool's history who won back-to-back titles in the 1920s.
Yeah, this is a team that is absolutely packed with incredible characters. Men who fought on the battlefields of Europe in the First World War and returned home to claim 2 league titles in a row.
And it's due for release in the UK in September. And thanks to our friendship now with the Liverpool Connection podcast, it's also going to be made available through them in the United States at the same time.
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I'm Dazza and I'm very happy to have our special guest today, former Liverpool midfielder and England international, Steve McMahon. Hiya, Steve, mate.
How are you doing? Well, it's afternoon here and morning to you guys.
So let's get right down to it. Obviously, you played for Liverpool and you played for those neighbours as well. Yeah, the other ones, But I want to start by asking you, obviously every kid who grows up in Liverpool dreams of either playing for Liverpool or Everton or even Tranmere at some point.
Yeah.
But when was that point where you knew that, you were good?
I think when I signed for Everton early on when I was 12, I'd been going for a couple of years with the academies. And I know it's all changed, the academy system, but basically it's a structure of like when you're 14, you're able to sign schoolboy forms. When you're 16, you're able to sign an apprenticeship. And 18 is then a pro. So it's a development stage. And I was there for a couple of years before I signed on those schoolboy forms at 12. And I guess you buy into it that you're going to be a footballer. Every youngster now that is signed up by an academy, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, it doesn't matter. You've got to believe that you're going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But the stats will tell you otherwise. The stats will say 99 point something of youngsters don't make it, which is frightening stat when you look at it, because there's just that minute of footballers that, and everybody wants to be a footballer, but nobody, or we all can't do it. And I was just fortunate, although there was a lot of bumps on in a way as well, because when I got to 16, I was an August baby, so I was 15 when I left school, and they told me at Everton that I wasn't physically strong enough for them to offer me a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, they said I was good, but physically, no. And I was very disappointed because all my peers and my friends at that time were getting offered apprenticeships, so they were getting paid. I wasn't, so I asked them could I stay on and travel and would they pay me expenses and my bus fares and everything else. And they said, yeah, no problem. So rather than me going looking for a job when I was 15, 16, I carried on getting my bus fares paid for and just turning up for training as if I was an apprentice, but I wasn't. And then within about 4 or 5 months, I must have been that much of a pest to Everton. They gave me a contract. They signed me on as an apprentice, but I knew I needed to build myself up. I needed my strength, my body needed to fill out. And I did that very quickly. I worked really hard. I went to the gym. I went to do all the stuff that I needed to make me physically stronger. And within 18 months, I got in the first team above anybody else. So I made my debut for Everton when I was 18. So remarkable sort of stage there for 18 months where I was told I wasn't strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then with 18 months, I'd made my debut for Everton, and I never looked back since.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of issues now. With the mental health side, the kids, all they think about is football, and they forget about their schooling. And I think there's more like academies now that help you with the schooling, but back then, was it just, football? And if you didn't make it, then you didn't know what to do?
Absolutely. I mean, it was all or nothing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I know academies do try and look after the well-being and the future If it's not with that club, then they try and get them another club. But everybody's in the same boat. It's the same difference. But parents have to be aware. And I think parents have got to be very, very careful as well, as you know, because they get carried away and their expectations are higher probably than the youngster. And they put too much pressure on them at an early age. And there's no need for that. Everyone thinks young Johnny's going to make it and going to play for Liverpool one day or Everton one day. And it's not the case. Not the case at all. Especially with the foreign import now, where clubs are going down that line and bringing youngsters in from abroad. It's very difficult for the local kids to make it. So you must have a backup plan. And education is very, very important. As I say, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket, because you're in for a fall, you're in for a shock. And I think the parents have got to get sight of the fact that it probably won't happen.
Yeah, that's quite because on Saturdays, Sundays, obviously they have the kids' leagues here, and if you just drive by, you can hear the parents just yelling, expecting their kids to be the next Ronaldo or Messi, and then it doesn't make football fun anymore for them. So they give up.
Agreed. It's too much pressure, too much tension, And even when you sign for an academy now, you're not allowed to play with your friends in school on a Saturday and Sunday. The academies don't allow you to play. You've lost all the enjoyment. Everything's sort of regimental, and the pressure from when you're 12 and 30, even younger now, they start at 6, believe it or not, which is ridiculous. 6 is just like it's glorified babysitting. That's what it is. You let them go out, you let them play. Just play, enjoy. And I wouldn't tie my sons down, and I never have done, to a contract. It's more football about enjoyment, isn't it? If you're good enough at the end of that, then good. You can pursue it later on, but not when you're 10 and 11. You're coming home with your kit bag and you're getting up in the morning, and you're going to school, then you're going to the academies, then you do. It's just, you're a youngster only once, and you've got to be a youngster, and you've got to live your life as a youngster with all your friends, the way everybody does. And then in the latter stages of 16, maybe, when you've got to make decisions on your future, that's when you do it. That's when you start committing yourself to what you really want to do. But certainly not at the age of 9 and 10.
Yeah, I had a mate who was 14 and actually had schoolboy forms with Liverpool, and he did the bad thing of playing in a Sunday league match, and he knocked out the referee, and Stevie Highway heard about it and packed him off. Said, you can't play for us anymore. So he went downhill from there. It's one of those could have, should have, didn't. So he looks. I agree. He looks back.
And even injuries. You get injured with a Sunday league or a Saturday league team when you're trying to make a pro at Liverpool or Everton, and all of a sudden, because you've gone out and played with your mate, you're injured. So, but he's still taking. I think the big point is he's taking the fun element out of football for youngsters.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, parents just need to kind of ease up on the kids and just let a kid be a kid. Let them kick the ball around the field, have fun, smile. Not get off the pitch and have a scolding by the parents. So yeah, if you're listening, parents, just ease up on them. Yeah,
absolutely. Let them enjoy first and foremost.
So we'll go back to Everton. You captained Everton, right? I do believe.
Yes.
So you moved to Villa after Everton. Because I think the switch from Everton to Liverpool straight away probably wouldn't have sat really well.
Well, to say the least. I mean, living in Liverpool, as you know, is massive when you support either blue or red, and when you play for blue, and then you go into the red half, that's even worse. And I actually spoke to Liverpool, my freedom of contract, so I could have signed for anybody I liked. And Liverpool, Bob Paisley was the manager, and he rang me and said, could we talk about you signing for Liverpool? This is straight from Everton. And I was brought up as an Evertonian, all the family, everything else. I did. I went and spoke to Bob. See, the thing about it, all Evertonians said I left Everton for the money. No, I did not. I did not leave for the money. It was just all that was muted. It wasn't the case, because I spoke to Aston Villa, who were then European champions.
Mm-hmm.
They were European champions in '82. So I signed in '83 for Villa. But Bob Paisley said, whatever Villa offered you, we'll double the monies, without even batting an eyelid. And so if it was money driven for me, then I would have joined Liverpool straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't about the money, it was about the right move. And again, this is a lesson for youngsters as well. Don't just chase the money. You've got to make big decisions, and you've got to make decisions for you, not an agent, not for the club, for you and how comfortable you feel with your footballing development. You've got to make big decisions down the line anyway. And fortunately for me, I was a Liverpool player within 18 months. So the switch from Everton to Villa was only short-lived, I suppose. And I enjoyed my time at Villa.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously when Liverpool come calling again for the second time, I just couldn't say no. And I'd have been a fool to refuse.
Well, I'm sure you couldn't say no to King Kenny.
Well, no, we can't say no to him even as we speak. I mean, I'm supposed to have lunch with him later. But yeah, he was, I mean, regardless what they say, he wasn't a coach as per se, he was a manager. He had the art of managing people. He knew his football inside out. He knew what he wanted. He knew what players would fit into his system. And the coaches running around, especially, would do all the stuff that Kenny wanted them to do. But identifying players was not a problem with Kenny. He knew the fit for a certain type of club.
So I know you were bought September 12th in '85, and within 2 days you make your debut.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, because what do you say at Liverpool? You have to bide your time and wait. You bang your own reserves and wait. That wasn't the case. There's some great stories about. I played against Oxford in my debut, and I thought after the game, what on earth? This is supposed to be the best club in the world. And we drew 2-2. We drew 2-2 at Oxford, the Manor Ground. John Aldridge played and Ray Houghton played on that day. Alan Kennedy scored an own goal. Phil Neal's last ever game for Liverpool. Alan Kennedy's last ever game for Liverpool. Ronnie Whelan got taken off with 8 stitches in his head. Rushy got taken off with concussion. There was almighty rows in the dressing room afterwards. And I'm thinking, what on earth is this? The best club in the world, and there's chaos. And obviously that was part and parcel of Liverpool and their makeup. But we went on to win a double that year. So you have all that, them issues. But Kenny knew what he was doing. He knew that the older guard needed to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to change it. We need to freshen up. And I remember the night before the game, we're in a hotel in Oxford, and the players we used to go into a separate room, obviously, and eat and dine. And we're sitting down at this big round table, and little Sammy Lee, who's proper little Scouser, he's a great lad. When we all sat down, he said, in his Scouse accent, "This is like the Last Supper." And I went, "I've only been there less than a week or so," and I said, "It is for some years." And I just said it tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Sammy was left out for me. I didn't know, he didn't know. And the next day we had a bit of a laugh about it. And the rest is history, you know. So it's just the way Scousers were, and it's just the way Liverpool were.
Yeah, I think we've all got a really good sense of humour that a lot of people don't get.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And also, I mean, what a start to your career as well, to score your first goal against your former team as well, Everton.
It's ridiculous, really, because it was a while when I was still living in a hotel, and it was my 3rd game in for Liverpool, and going back to the Blue Noses, going back to Goodison for the first time. I mean, if there's any club that could hate me more,
yeah,
I'd like to see it, because Everton, the supporters just hate me with a passion. And the best feeling in the world was to go. And in the end, it turned out to be the winning goal. We were 3-0 up, but I scored the third goal. But, you know, the hatred in the Everton supporters and everything else. And I'll always remember it. And they say you shouldn't celebrate against your old team or your club that you go back to. Nonsense.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop me. I was near outside the gates. I couldn't stop running. So that was a wonderful experience. And that actually made my life easier, my footballing path easier with Liverpool, because no longer, that was a defining moment for me, because no longer was I an ex-Everton player. I'm now a Liverpool player. So my allegiances then were Liverpool. So it was a smoother path for me then.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, with the fans, like inside the stadium, they'll hate you. But then, you know, when they see you on the street, they'll be, all right, Steve, how are you, mate?
Yeah. Of course, I mean, you're not there to be liked. You're there to do a job, and you're there to win trophies, and you're there to do. And it didn't bother me. The more they hated me, and the more chants and the more vocal they were, the better it made me feel. Because I was a menace to them, and they didn't like it. And that means I was doing something right.
Yeah.
So it didn't bother me. Every game was great for me, and the bigger the pressure, the better it was for me.
Man, I bet you heard some horrible things on the sideline.
Oh, horrible! You're talking about youngsters, even outside. Some of the youngsters, you know what? Even now, if I go back in and around Everton, youngsters obviously don't know me, but I'm still getting the two fingers up, and I'm still getting people ranting, and the youngsters don't even know who I am. They probably, half of them think I'm Steve McManaman. Because as soon as they hear the McManaman, they think I'm Steve McManaman.
Well, talking of that too is, you know, you were one of the hard men of Liverpool. You know, you've got the Terry Macks of this world, you know, Suey as well. So I remember when you played Wimbledon, you know, Vinnie Jones. Do you reckon like he was the hardest man you've played against?
You're joking me. He was the weak. No chance. Absolutely no chance. I mean, he made a 50-50, 60-40 when he knew he couldn't get it. It depends who he was against. He was dirty. He wasn't hard at all. He'd make sure that he was late all the time. Now, you couldn't put him in a Souness bracket and Brian Robsons and Peter Reeds of this world. Not one little bit. He was, he was a very average player, to say the least. He's a better actor than he is a player.
That's saying something.
Well, absolutely, yeah. So you work that one out, and whether he was acting being a footballer,
yeah,
it was the next step. I don't really know.
I know it was you know, a lot of all mouth most of the time, but I remember. So I was pretty young then. Well, no, probably about 16. He fouled you, but you coming down, you gave him a right bruiser, didn't you? Yeah.
Accidentally, on purpose, yeah.
Yeah. It's always accidental.
It's always accidental. It wasn't my fault, yeah. And then 6 months later, I mean, dare I say it, I mean, he's carried off on a stretcher at Anfield. I won't tell you who tackled him. I probably can tell by the smile on my face.
Yeah. Mum's the word.
Yes, of course.
So you've won, you know, the league championship, FA Cup. Did you win the League Cup?
No, we got beat. I mean, Arsenal beat us 2-1. First ever time Rushy scored in the cup final for Liverpool, or a goal for Liverpool, and we got beaten in a game. I think it was 2 own goals. Gary Gillespie and Ronnie Whelan, I think it was own goals against. Charlie Nicholas played for Liverpool, for Arsenal then, and we could have won. We could have and should have won a double 4 times in a row. I mean, obviously the Wimbledon game when we'd already secured the league was over. We could have won the FA Cup, so that was a double. the first time we won a double, obviously. The Palace game, the semi-finals, when we'd won the league that year, and then Palace, we beat Palace 9-0 in the league a few months before we played them in the semi-finals, and we get beat 4-3 by Palace in the semi-finals, and we won the league that year. And then the big one for me was 89, when we'd already won the FA Cup against Everton, and we could afford to get beat 2-0 by Arsenal, and the rest is history, I suppose. So there was four occasions in the 5 years that we should have and could have won a double.
I mean, you came at a time, 85 till 91 was some of the most successful, honours for Liverpool. I mean, like looking back for me, those were the heydays, because that was the last time we won the league up until, last year. Yeah, it's crazy to think 30 years ago, it's taken that long for Liverpool to really, get back on the perch.
I agree. I never had dreamt that when I left Liverpool in 1991, that we would never win the league for 30 odd years. And it was just unthinkable. But I seen the writing on the wall, and it was my decision, contrary to what people say, that Souness got rid of me. That wasn't the case. I had 4.5 years left on my contract. And I decided that the time was right for me to leave. I could see the writing on the wall. And I had to make, and as I said early on in the piece, I had to make a decision based on me and being happy and what was the next step for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, think these footballers should play for a certain team for, most of their lives. There's only certain people, like Gerrard and Carra that only play for one team. If it just doesn't feel right anymore, then you have to move on. And the fans, thank God Stevie didn't play for another team in the Premier League, because he really would have gotten some abuse.
Yeah, of course. But he still had to make decisions, and both Jamie and Stevie were getting highly paid. And so they were getting the fruits of the labour as well. And they'd win the odd cup here and there. They wouldn't win the league, but Liverpool obviously was still a massive club. You have to move for all the right reasons, not just one or two, not financially, just financially. But loyalty is no more, and it never has been in football. Both ways, by the way, players and clubs. You're a commodity. And once your time is up with a football club, and once they've had enough of you and they see that your legs are gone a little bit, or you're going past a certain stage, they will get rid of you. They will sell you on. They will pass you on. So in the meantime, you have to make sure you look after yourself. And when there's a big deal that comes about, if possible, when the time is right, there's no loyalty. Trust me. You have to do what you have to do. Yeah, so it's in this world and stuff. And Harry Kane's going through the same thing at the minute. He has to make a big decision sooner rather than later. Yeah,
I mean, he's too good of a player to not win honours, and with Spurs, they're just not doing it for him, and this season will be a massive decision he has to make. I'm pretty sure, I have a feeling either City or United are going to come in for him.
Yeah, well, it's been muted here today that Chelsea are going to make a big bid as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's them clubs who have the money. It's your PSGs of this world who have the money. Would Real Madrid appeal to them? But who's going to say Real Madrid are on the up? Because they're not really at this moment in time. It seems to be the English clubs who've got all the power and who've got the money as well to splash out. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Barca can spend any money, because, from what I'm hearing, they're like $1 billion in debt. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how they can still buy players.
Yeah, because it's an institution. I mean, Real Madrid are different because they're run by the government, so the government fund most of their deals. And it's all politics with Real Madrid, because the next leader of the club is going for elections. So he promises, if you vote for me, I'll get you a Galacto, I'll get you a top signing. So that's where the politics happen with Real Madrid. Barcelona, it's more in-house. And you can see why Barcelona and Real Madrid wants to join the Super League, because they're missing out massively financially. Plus, they're in so much debt that it's ridiculous. So it'd be a quick bailout for them.
Well, they're still looking at sanctions as well. You know, I mean, obviously the 6 English teams, you know, have to pay a certain 5%, I believe, to grassroots football, which I think is fantastic. It shouldn't have happened anyway, the Super League thing. But for Madrid and Juve and Barca, you know, I don't even know what's coming for them. Obviously, UEFA aren't going to kick those 3 out of the Champions League. No chance. You know, you keep hearing these rumours. And there was rumours about even Liverpool, you know, being banned. I'm like, you must be joking. You're not going to knock the top 4 top English teams out, and Barca, Juve and Madrid. But what's your take on that? Because you know, it didn't come out of nowhere, obviously. FSG had been, you know, trying to get something going for a while. And then all of a sudden, you know, the season's nearly ending, and then bam, you know, front headline papers, Super League, Liverpool. And I thought it was a little unfair of the media, because it was all about Liverpool. You didn't really hear anything about City, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, nothing.
I think because City were one of the first to say, basically, no, we're not for it. Although behind the scenes they'd been negotiating and been going for it. Mm-hmm. And a bit like the Fenway Group, I mean, love them or hate them, man. Again, I'm talking about loyalty, and there's 3 things that happened over recent past. Mm-hmm. Is they tried to up the season tickets prices at Anfield, and the Fenway Group went out and said, yeah, we're upping the season ticket prices, and there was uproar. Mm-hmm. Then they came out and said, sorry, we apologise, we made a mistake, we didn't realise the fan pressure and everything else. Then with the COVID and the conditions that we've got at the minute, then he said they were furloughing all the staff. A club, this was Liverpool football, were furloughing the staff. Mm-hmm. There was uproar again. Then the Fenway Group have to come out and said, sorry, we've made a mistake, we apologise once again. Then we see the Super League that's been going on for probably 9 months, maybe more. Mm-hmm. That negotiations were going on in the background. And then obviously it fell through with the peer pressure and everything else in and around it. Then he had to come out again and said, sorry, we apologise once again. How pathetic.
Yeah.
How many times do a club like Liverpool have to apologise to the fan base that is all over the world? Mm-hmm. It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And they realise they've got it wrong.
Well,
I think that's part of the pressure.
Well, that's the issue is, you know, they're not football minded. They're capitalists. They're businessmen. You know, when they bought this team, they knew nothing about football, and I still think they kind of know nothing about football. And God bless to Joe Blott and the, you know, Spirit of Shankly, Spy on Cop 1906, you know, saying what they said, like, let's get in the boardroom, let's have a couple of fans in that boardroom to you know, talk about these things like pricing, about Super Leagues, because it's so disconnected. You know, FSG are up here and Liverpool fans seem to be down here.
Absolutely. You say that they don't know much about football, and I can half agree with you. They're a franchise, that's what they do. Mm-hmm. But they certainly know about Liverpool people now. They know what's good and what's bad, and they know that Liverpool won't accept that. The years of history are there to be seen. Fenway Group, if they make hundreds of millions, that's fine, but you don't disregard the supporters who are the backbone, who have been for many, many years at a football club. You can't just up and go and leave the supporters. The supporters are the things that keep this. Does that mean Liverpool don't have a history? You know, I played in a game at Hillsborough. I played in the high school a year before. You get emotionally attached. The supporters the people who have lost their lives for that football club to go and support. And family groups can come out and just say, oh, we're upping the ticket price, or we're putting the staff on furlough. Oh, by the way, we're going to Super League, so never mind you supporters, we're just going it alone. That is not right. It's not correct. And that was why the uproar. Forget what Man City's doing, Chelsea's and Tottenham's and whoever. This is about Liverpool Football Club. And well, they should have stood up in the first place and said, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I've tried to, because a few people over here just, I think because they're disconnected from Liverpool, they were like, Super League, great idea, we'll make more money. But then, you know, I try to explain to them, though, it kind of makes Scousers just like dirt. You know, let's not bother asking the people that like live right next to Anfield that support this team for, you know, maybe some for 5 years, but a lot for 60 years. Like, I'm sure you go back to Anfield now, you'll still see the same person in the same seat that's been there for 40, 50 years. And if you know, the owners don't care about that person, then that's just a loss to me. You know.
Yeah, there's got to be a happy balance, Daz, because I don't advocate that supporters should dictate what goes on, and every time there's an issue, supporters can stop it, because that's not fair neither. Because you buy a club for X amount, 200, 300 million, 400 million, whatever it is, you still have a right to have an input in that football club. You've invested a lot of money, and you invest in the ground and everything else. So although the supporters have a right to have an input, they shouldn't be making the decisions, and they shouldn't start saying, right, we're so powerful, we can make all the decisions. But at the same token, Femi Group have to respect the supporters, and they have to realise what's good for the club and what's not good for the club. And they haven't done that. They've just gone out on a whim. And you know, watch this space. I mean, I think everyone has backtracked. And I'll be interested to see the reception that the Fenway Group get when they show the faces up at Anfield. Whether it's good or bad, I don't really know.
Yeah, because we all know how the Hicks Junior thing happened. You know, at the Sandon, got pretty much like beer thrown all over him and got kicked out. I don't think it'll be that bad. But you know, the whole thing too with the Super League, you've got this, like, a lot of global Liverpool fans are like, no against Super League, but then they want Mbappe. You know, there's this fine line as well. It's like we don't want that because that's wrong, but we want Mbappe's and the Haalands of this world. You know, so it is a fine line, because, you know, FSG have done lots of good things as well for Liverpool.
But all you have to do, Daz, is just respect people's, especially it's life. It's for the Liverpool people. Football and Anfield and Liverpool is life. It's their lifeblood. And whether you like it or not, the Evertonians are there as well, by the way. This is part of Liverpool's history, Liverpool City itself. So you've got Everton, who are a fantastic club, an amazing club. And yeah, they were going to be left out and thrown under the bus. Why? You know, that's still part of the city. So Everton would have struggled as well. So nobody ever took that into consideration as well. So I think at the end of the day, politics are there, but respect is probably the biggest thing that needs to come out of this.
Yeah, because I can just imagine, you know, Liverpool and Everton fans getting together and protesting, you know, throughout the city. Because again, we've all watched the football this season and a bit of the end of last season. Football without fans is crap.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, you know, I used to watch, like, not just Liverpool, but, you know, I'd watch all the games throughout the weekend. I only watch one game now. It's the Liverpool game, and I'm not like all 100% into it. You know, I'll you know, go make me cup of tea and just kind of look around and see what's going on. I'm not.
you know, you look at the Sky, and when this was announced, it's the so-called Super League, Sky were all over it. Neville and Carragher, they work for Sky. They're getting paid fortunes off Sky. Now, they were banging a drum about the Super League and about how expensive and they've disrespected everybody else. Why is Sky charging? It's the hypocrites, because they're charging £15 per game when the COVID situation for watch one game. The prices to watch football for Sky is £100 a month to watch the Sky package. The playing games, I did the Liverpool game last night for LFC TV. It's 8:15 on a Saturday night, for heaven's sake. I know all over the world you're 5 hours behind, so that is a good time for you, basically. But if you're 6 and 7 hours ahead, how good's that?
Yeah.
What good's that to people in Asia? So they're picking Monday night football. There's Thursday night football at whatever time they want. People have got work the next day. So this is Sky have done this because they're making lots and lots of money. So it's very hypocritical of certain companies to start rubbishing somebody else's plan, because they're actually doing it. They're the ones who did the benchmark in 1991. Sky changed the face of football. Everyone thinks there was no football before the Premier League.
Well, I mean,
everyone would have thought Liverpool had no history before the Premier League started.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think it's because we won a bit too much. But yeah, I agree. I mean, like, you know, when the fixture list comes out in August, you're like, all right, I can set me weekends for you know, Liverpool, Arsenal, or United, and then 2 weeks before, you know, the actual match, Sky change it, and you're just like, all right, what can I do now? If you know, if say Saturday, you got Saturday off, and you got to work Sunday, you're screwed if the game's, you know, changed to Sunday just because Sky want
the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And so, you know, there's a lot to be said for all these negotiations. But I mean, we can chat all day long about it, and plus the fact of the football as well, which is a side issue sometimes. But maybe if you invite me over to Texas, we can have a good night and we can talk about it with the fans forum or something.
There you go. Well, Steve, who is the co-host, he's actually the president of the Arsenal supporters group. So, you know, he's brought the Ronnie Whelan, Gary Gillespie, John Barnes. So yeah, I'll actually probably wake him up after this and tell him, yeah, you missed a really good interview, and by the way, book him.
Listen, we can do some special clinics as well, some coaching clinics. Get out there, you know, and spend a few days there. And if you want me and Ronnie or whatever, then that'd be even better, you know. Your call, but I mean, there's lots you could do in and around it. But there's so much to be said. We haven't got long enough on it, that's for sure. Because we spent a long time even talking about the Fenway or the Super League. We haven't even touched on anything else yet.
Yeah, I'll have to bring you back on.
You'll have to just finish it off, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna before we go, I've got to ask you a couple of questions. So, what's your favourite goal you've ever scored, and then favourite match?
Well, the favourite goal, obviously, we touched on it, the Everton goal, because it wasn't the best goal in terms of like top corner against Man United, but it was an important goal for me personally. Going back my journey with Liverpool, and so I'd have to say you'd have to pick that one out as a special goal, not the best as such, but a special goal. Every goal against Liverpool, every goal against Arsenal, United, Chelsea's is special. And I'm fortunate against City, scored against all home teams. So I'd have to say Dave Norton, probably Everton.
And favourite match or favourite like title?
Well, moments. Everybody bar none remembers the Arsenal game when I run to the touchline. And I stop the ball and I go into the crowd throw me back out. The ball's still on the edge of the pitch. and I managed to wriggle my way through 3 or 4 Arsenal players. I plays Peter Beardsley, and he has a shot. It palms out. Lukic palms it out, and Aldo puts the ball in. Now, that was, I think everyone says that epitomises Liverpool, and what we're all about is just never say die attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was a moment. But if I'm really selfish, I'd say the 1989 FA Cup final win against Everton. For so many reasons, for the Hillsborough, it was the Hillsborough year, and we wanted to win it so badly for the people of Liverpool, the tragedy that happened, and that year we won the FA Cup for them supporters who sadly died at Hillsborough. But that FA Cup was in memory of them as well, and I was fortunate as a Scouser to be part of that for so many different reasons, and that was very, very emotional day and an emotional game. Being a Scouser, having been through the semi-finals at Hillsborough as well, and winning that FA Cup for Liverpool itself in general. So that's probably the game that will stand out forever for me.
Well, I mean, especially against Everton as well, just the whole of Merseyside coming together for Hillsborough as well, because, you know, hats off to Evertonians. They've always been there, you know, for Liverpool fans when it comes to Hillsborough.
Agreed.
So, you know, they've stood right next to us. You know, like, that, you know, that's the great thing about Scousers. They'll always come together when anybody needs help. You know, you just see with the food banks, with the charities, Scousers help one another. So, but Steve, it's been an absolute honour to have you on. I will definitely would love to get you back on again for part 2 and go into more of your playing days.
All
right, mate. Well, I really appreciate it.
No problem. Nice to speak to you.
You too. Take care.